Hello and welcome to our virtual yoga class. We'll begin class in a seated position. So you can either come to sit on your ankles as I'm demonstrating, or if you prefer to sit in a cross-legged position, go ahead and come to that pose. Now, as we're settling into our seat, notice that we are cultivating the practice of shifting our attention back to our body and observing. So welcome an inhale here and then perhaps exhale, side out. Softening shoulders, chin is neutral. Rib cage and belly expands. Notice that soft release in the belly. You'll start to shift your attention to your core, activate your core, noticing your core support the length of your spine. Spine is long. We have a tendency to roll forward, shift our chest and our shoulders forward. So very purposely practice drawing your shoulders back in a way that's comfortable. Chin is neutral. Core active, spine long. You can imagine a line of energy from the base of your spine to the top of your head. Inhale. Exhale. We're inviting a breath for the day we've had so far. A breath for this moment. And a breath for the rest of our day. And this is how we practice presence, starting to slow down, notice our breath, notice our bodies. And it's with this awareness you'll be able to effectively address your flexibility, your strength, and balance throughout the class. One intentional breath here. Let's inhale here, exhale, sigh it out. And then on your following inhale, we'll lift our arms up overhead, interlace your fingers, palms up towards the ceiling. Gentle stretch here. Perhaps separate the shoulder blades. Exhale, release your hands. Inhale, lift your arms up again. Interlace your fingers, palms up. Now this time, release your hands right behind your head. Press your elbows towards the back of the room. So our elbows have a tendency to shift forward here. Here, purposely draw your shoulders and your elbows back and a twist towards the left and towards the right. A few times here, twisting towards the left and twisting towards the right. And then release your hands. Inhale, arms lift up overhead. Palms up towards the ceiling, stretch towards the left and hold. Chin is neutral. Back to center, now opposite side. Inhale here. Exhale. Back to center, round your spine, tuck your chin towards your chest. Palms shift towards the front of the room. You're separating your shoulder blades here. Release your hands. Now start to cup your forearms with your hands. So you have two choices. You can either cup your forearms like so, or you can shift into a reverse prayer with both palms touching. And now you lift your hands up as high as you can here. Inhale. Exhale. Generous inhale here and exhale. 2 more breath cycles. Either cupping your forearms with your hands or pressing your hands together. Shoulders roll back. Release your hands, interlace your fingers, draw your shoulder blades closer together, open up your chest, and lift your gaze up towards the ceiling here. You're extending your elbows and purposely knitting your shoulder blades closer together. One more deep belly breath here. Release your hands. Lengthen both legs out in front. We've been emphasizing our shoulders, our upper back, our arms. Now let's shift the stretch into our hamstrings. We'll invite a little bend to our knee. Let's first flex our feet here. And hold this about 2 breaths. Flexing your feet, lengthening your spine, drawing your shoulders down. Inhale. Exhale. You can press your feet towards the front. It's going to intensify that stretch around the calf muscles. You're already activating your hair around the hamstrings. From here, you can either keep your feet flexed or relax your feet. It's going to create a softer stretch. You can invite a little bend to your knees, and now drop your belly, your chest towards your thighs, and you can reach your hands anywhere, thighs, shins, or toes, and hold. 5 breaths. Feel free to hear your inhale and your exhale. Notice where that boundary is and breathe into that boundary. Deep belly breath. Exhale. One more breath here. And then release the pose. We'll bend our knees. We'll start to shift into a tabletop, double checking that our hands are right beneath our shoulders and then our knees are beneath our hips. Lift your right arm up towards the ceiling. Hold here. A little side body stretch here. You're also lengthening throughout the arm. So as I'm here, I'm very purposely pressing my hand back. Exhale. Release. Opposite side. Lift your left arm up towards the ceiling. Hold. Inhale. Exhale. Release. We'll lift up into our first downward facing dog of the class. So in your downward facing dog, you're pressing through your palms and you're using that strength throughout the arms and pressing through the palms to bring your chest closer towards your thighs. Now your heels can be lifted up as high as they can or just slightly lifted up the mat. You can have a little bend to your knees. Breathe into your hamstrings throughout the length of your arms. Deep belly breath. As you're here, lift your right leg, bend your knee, stack your hips to the right and hold. You're opening up throughout that right hip, throughout your glute, lengthening throughout the spine. Your body is active, so deep, generous breath here. You're holding. And now foot on the floor, generous breath. Lift your left leg, bend your left knee, stack your hips and hold. Inhale. Exhale. Release your foot down towards the floor. One breath. Plank pose. Keep your elbows close to your torso as you release down towards the floor. Now tops of the feet are on the floor. Hands frame my chest. I extend my elbows. Lengthen throughout the spine. Keep your shoulders away from your ears. You have a tendency to collapse. Lift and open throughout the abdomen. You're stretching throughout the lower back and mid-back. Curl your toes, downward facing dog. Deep belly breath. Hold the pose, 2 more breaths. And then plank pose, we'll hold that plank pose. We're lifting our core up towards the ceiling. Release down towards the floor. Inhale up, upward facing dog, elbows extend. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Remain in your down dog for 3 breath cycles. Inhaling and exhaling, noticing belly expand and ribcage expand. Exhale, perhaps sighing out. And then moving at your own pace, one last round. From downward facing dog, release down into a plank pose. Down towards the floor. Inhale up, upward facing dog. And then meet in our downward facing dog. From that down dog, take your gaze between your hands. Walk or jump up to that forward fold. Place that left hand on the floor, shin or thigh. Lift your right arm up towards the ceiling. You're in a twist here. Don't forget to breathe. Distribute your weight around both edges of your feet. You can lengthen your right leg for a deeper stretch around the hamstrings, glutes, and hips. Release. Right hand on the floor, shin or thigh. Lift your left arm up towards the ceiling. There's a bend to that right knee. You can lengthen your left leg for a deeper stretch. Release your hand down towards the floor. Take your hands to your shins. 3 rounds. We're going to inhale halfway up. Exhale, release. Inhale halfway up. My back is flat. Shoulders slide down. Exhale, release. Making sure your neck is soft as you fold down. Inhale halfway up. Exhale, release. From here, we're going to roll up slowly. Distribute weight on your heels. Slowly lengthen your legs. Lengthen your spine. Draw your shoulders down. Mountain pose. We inhale and exhale for the day we've had. We inhale and exhale for this moment. We inhale and exhale for the rest of our day. Inhale here, exhale, sigh it out. And then if your eyes are closed, we'll open our eyes. Let's lift our arms up overhead. Interlace your fingers, palms up towards the ceiling. Now find a point to focus on, and then lift your heels halfway or all the way up. Hold here. Activating your core strength, quad strength, and glute strength here as well. In all these poses, we look for that effort and ease. We're looking for that paradox in our bodies. Hold. And then drop your heels on the floor, drop your hands. Draw your shoulder blades closer together, interlace your fingers, elbows extend. Lift your gaze up towards the ceiling, chest is open. Invite a little bend to your knees, fold all the way down. Forward fold, but keep your elbows extended behind you. Relax your neck, hold here. Hands to your shins, inhale halfway up. Exhale, release, second round. And then third round, inhale halfway up. Exhale, release. Sweep your arms up overhead. Distribute your weight around your heels, edges of your feet. Notice both palms come to touch. Left hand presses against right hand presses against left hand. It's a practice of presence here. Inhale here. And exhale. Release your hands. Start to shift your stance, whether you're straddling your mat or you can shift your position so both feet are on the mat. We're preparing for a wide-legged forward fold. As you're here, your toes are faced towards the front of the room. Hips are squared towards the front as well. Take your hands to your hips. We're going to hinge halfway and hold. Now, as you're hinging, you're going to start to shift that attention to that stretch around the back of the legs, namely the hamstrings here. Now, we're going to fold further, but remember to allow the tiniest little bend to your knees. Fold down. You can drop your hands on the floor. Inhale here. And then exhale, either keeping your hands on the floor, you can cup your elbows with your hands. You can also grip your toes with your fingers here. So a couple of different choices. Drop the spine, belly towards the floor, neck is relaxed. So you notice that paradox legs are active, supporting your relaxed torso. Feel free to hear your inhale and your exhale. Second cycle of breath. Next breath cycle. And then release your hands wherever they're at. Bring them up to your hips. Lift halfway up and then all the way up. And then activating some strength here, some grounded energy. Pivot your right toes to the right, left toes to the left. Bend your knees, drop your tailbone towards the floor. Hands can either remain in front of your chest or you can lift your arms up overhead. You're firing up your glutes and your quads. You're placing weight on your heels. Hold. Tuck your tailbone in. We have a tendency to want to lift our tailbone. Inhale and exhale. Lots of grounded energy here from your heels. Spine is long, arms are strong. Deep breath. Release. Toes towards the front. Second, wide-legged forward fold, hands to hips. Now, if you want to invite an upper body stretch, interlace your fingers behind you, draw your shoulder blades together, and then fold down, keeping your elbows extended. Either remain here, neck soft, or release your hands to a different position. 3 deep belly breaths. A little bend to your knees. Another breath here. Release your hands to your hips. Lift halfway up and then all the way up. And then second round, right toes to the right, left toes to the left. Bend your knees and hold. Different positions here with your hands. Noticing that effort and ease. Inhale, exhale. You can always hold just a little bit more. Release your hands. Lift it back up. Last round, wide-legged forward fold, toes towards the front, hinge at the hips, your choice. You can invite that upper body stretch, interlace your fingers behind you, or fold all the way down. 3 breaths, neck is soft. Deep breath, intentional breath. Distribute your weight on your heels, lift halfway and then all the way up. Bring your feet closer together, mountain pose, your feet about hips width distance apart. We'll prepare for a chair pose, bending our knees, activating our glutes, our quads. Your arms are radiating forward, chest is open. You can always sit a little deeper in your chair pose. And now bend your knees further, fold all the way down, forward fold, neck is up, inhale halfway up. Exhale, release, we'll step back into our plank pose. You can move through your vinyasa here, whatever that looks like for you. There's always different variations in all of these poses. And then lift up, downward facing dog. In that down dog, lift your left leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Hold. And then release your foot back down towards the floor. Opposite side, lift that right leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Release your foot back down towards the floor. Take your gaze between your hands, walk or jump up to that forward fold. Take your hands to your shins, inhale halfway up. Exhale, release, your choice how you come up to standing. You can roll up slowly or sweep your arms up overhead. Hands meet in front of your heart center. Inhale here and exhale. Either mountain pose with hands in front of your chest or hands framing your hips. 3 breaths, inhaling and exhaling for the day you've had so far. Inhaling and exhaling for this moment. As a reminder, eyes can be closed or open. And then inhaling and exhaling for the rest of your day. If your eyes are closed, open your eyes, lift your arms up overhead, interlace your fingers, palms up towards the ceiling. Lift your heels halfway or all the way up and hold. Noticing that effort and ease in the pose. Inhale. Exhale, release your hands, release your feet, and pedal your feet back and forth. Now we're gonna come into a combination of a balance pose and a chair pose. So you want to anchor that right foot on the floor. So notice your right foot, your heel, and invite the tiniest little bend to that knee. And now bend your left knee here. We're gonna hold that left knee with our hand. That knee is in a 90-degree angle. We're noticing where our balance is here. Remain here. We can bring that right arm up for extra support and that balance. Hold, 1 breath. Inhale, exhale. And as a reminder, you can always just float your foot off just a few inches off the floor. Notice where your range is right now. Now rest your ankle right on top of your thigh, hands in front of your heart center, and fold just ever so slightly. Now as I'm folding, I'm not folding all the way down to a forward fold. I'm lifting my tailbone, chest is open. Opening here around the hips and the glutes. Lots of strength here. Strength and balance. You're gonna fold all the way down to a forward fold. Now if you can keep your foot or your ankle up onto your thigh, go ahead and do so. Or come into your regular forward fold. Deep belly breath. Release that left foot onto the floor. Hands to shins, 3 rounds. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release. 3rd round, inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release. 3rd round, inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release. Your choice how you come up to standing. Make it your practice. We're all seeking balance in different ways. And how we lift up to standing has a way of helping us balance our inner experience. Inhale. Exhale, release your hands, arms lift up, interlace your fingers, palms up towards the ceiling. Lift your heels halfway or all the way up. It's helpful to concentrate on a point across the floor or room. See if that is available for you. Hold. Release your hands, release your heels. Pedal your feet back and forth. You're going to anchor that left foot onto the floor. First, we're going to bend that right knee, just noticing where our balance is. You can take that left arm out if that helps you with your balancing. Inhale. Exhale. When you're ready, you can rest that ankle or shin on your thigh. Invite a little bend to your knee. A little bend to that left knee. Lift your tailbone, hands in front of your heart center. Combination here of a balance in a chair pose. We're opening up the hips. Working on flexibility, strength, and balance all in one. Invite a deep breath to assist you. And then your choice, you can keep that foot lifted on your thigh. Pull down to a forward fold. If it's more comfortable for you to release both feet on the floor, go ahead and do that. Soften the neck. Release your foot on the floor, hands to shins. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release 2 more times. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release. Third round, inhale, halfway up. After that third round, your choice how you lift up to standing. Anchoring through your heels, either rolling up slowly or sweeping your arms up overhead. Invite a generous breath. Perhaps inhaling here, exhaling, sighing out, releasing any tension from earlier in the week. From the morning, inhale and exhale. Release your hands. Once more, pedal your feet back and forth. We'll shift into our tree pose. Take that left foot to rest against your ankle, noticing that your tree pose can be here today. You can bring your foot a little higher to your ankle, or use your hands to assist you to bring that ankle up higher towards your thigh. So any range there works. Same thing here with your hands. Hands in front of the heart center, different mudra, that's a different hand position. You can lift your arms up overhead, bring your palms together, or keep your hands framing your hips. Any pose or any position there with your hands that assist you. Feel free to step in or out of the pose. Keep your gaze steady. And then notice how can your breath support you here as you're working on your balance. A lot of concentration, focusing on that one point. Shoulders away from your ears. One more breath here, inhale. Exhale, release your tree pose, pedal your feet back and forth. Let's anchor that energy into a chair pose. Arms radiate forward, knees are bent, tailbone is lifted. Glutes and quads are active for strength as well. Distribute your weight from the edges of your feet, outside, inside edges, heels and toes, and then fold your knees further, fold down, forward fold, inhale, halfway up 3 times. After those 3 rounds, your choice how you come up to standing. Andi mountain pose, hands framing your hips or hands in front of your heart center, 1 breath. Mentally preparing yourself for your tree pose on the opposite side. Pedal your feet back and forth. You're gonna anchor that left foot onto the floor And then take your right heel, rest it against your ankle, checking in with your balance here, just checking in there. Take that breath, either remaining here or taking your foot higher towards your calf or thigh. Gaze is steady. Shoulders away from your ears. Inhale. Exhale. Release your hands, release your foot, bend your knees, chair pose. Distribute your weight on your heels, extend your arms out, chest is open, hold the pose. There's contrasting energy here from balance into the strength pose, your very grounded pose. Bend your knees further, forward fold. This time, inhale halfway up once. Exhale, release, step back into your plank pose. We're taking our vinyasa. Release down towards the floor, inhale up. Upward facing dog. We'll lift up into our down dog. Lift our left leg, bend our left knee, stack our hips. Now left knee towards our left elbow, hold. Lift your leg, bend your knee, stack your hips. Now left knee towards that right elbow, generous breath. Lift your leg, bend your knee, stack your hips. And now we'll prepare for pigeon pose. Left knee towards that left wrist and then drop your knee. Look behind you, extend that leg out. Lift your chest, lengthen your spine, and then slowly release. You can release your forearms on the floor, remain here with your head lifted, or drop your forehead to a fist or all the way down to the floor. Most of your focus should be on that left hip. You're dropping your belly towards the floor. 5 breaths. Check in with your breath. One more intentional breath here. Curl your right toes, ground your hands onto the mat. Lift up, downward facing dog. Lift your right leg, bend your knee, stack your hips. Right knee towards that right elbow. Lift your leg, bend your knee, stack your hips. Right knee towards your left elbow, hover. Lift your leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Now right knee towards that right elbow and then release your knee. Preparing for pigeon pose, you lengthen that left leg out behind you, open up your chest, and now release. Shifting your attention to that right hip, either keeping your head lifted or dropping your forehead all the way down to a fist or the floor. 2 more breaths here. Inhale. Exhale. Curl your toes, lift up, downward facing dog. Now once you're in that down dog, you can take your last vinyasa of the class, plank pose, release down towards the floor, inhale up. And then we meet at our downward facing dog. Inhale here, exhale, side out. And then release knees on the floor. Shift your hands so they're underneath your shoulders. Check your knees, they're beneath your hips. Inhale up, cow pose. Exhale, round your spine, cat pose. A couple of times here at your own pace with your breath. Inhaling up, cow pose. Exhale, round your spine, cat pose. One more round, inhaling up and exhaling. Once you've completed your round, shift into your seated position, either cross-legged or on your ankles. And then 3 meditative breaths here. Just noticing the quality of your breath, that first round. On that second round, see if you can increase the length of the inhale and exhale just a little bit longer, more than you're accustomed to. And then on that third breath cycle, inhale here, exhale, side out. Noticing we're practicing presence here, slowing down, observing our breath, our body. You can release your chin towards your chest and now start to roll your head from one shoulder to the next. Full circle or just half a circle. Drop your head back, roll your head forward. Notice your neck, shoulders, even your upper back and mid-back. You can always bring your head back to a neutral position if you prefer to work on meditation. Three more breaths with these neck rolls. Gently bring your head back to neutral. 3 meditative breaths here, noticing that first breath, whatever it needs to be. On that second breath, lengthen that inhale and exhale a little longer than you're accustomed to. And on that third breath cycle, inhale, exhale, sigh it out. If your eyes are closed, open your eyes. Rest your hands on your thighs or knees, depending on your seated position. Lift your shoulders up towards your ears, draw them back. Now, as I draw my shoulders down, I'm very purposely knitting my shoulder blades closer together. One more round, shoulders up towards your ears. Now, if you are on your ankle, shift back into a cross-legged position. If you're already there, take your left hand onto your knee and then twist towards the right and hold. You're using that grip to intensify that stretch, and you're lengthening your spine as much as you can. You're shifting your chin towards that left shoulder. And then release. Hand on opposite side. Twist towards the left. Lengthen your spine. And back to center. And now lengthen your legs out in front, and then make sure you have room behind you to lay down. First, we're dropping our elbows down towards the floor. Now, we're going to drop our head back. Before you do that, make sure you lift your abdomen up towards the ceiling as much as you can. You can point your toes here. Drop your head back simultaneously, lifting your abdomen up towards the ceiling. There's an arch to your spine. Your throat is open. Shoulders cradle your head. Shoulder blades are drawn closer together. And then release. Inhale here, exhale, side out. Bend your right knee, take your hands towards that right knee, round your spine once, hold here, flex your left foot towards the front, hold here, and then drop your head back. Opposite side, bend your left knee, grab that left knee, round your spine. Flex that left foot towards the front. Drop your head back, bend your knees, and then rock to the left and to the right. Massaging around the lower back and the mid back. Start to grab your feet with your hands. Lengthen one leg more than the other. Bend your knees generously. You can rock to the left, to the right. You want to get that final stretch around the ankles, calves, hamstrings, hips, lower back, mid back. Now release, so you shift into a butterfly position, soles of the feet touch. You're imagining your knees drop further towards the floor. You're gently opening throughout the lower, around the hips, releasing around the lower back, mid back, even your upper back. One round, we'll take a breath, palms up towards the ceiling, backs of the hands on the floor, framing your hips. One breath, hands on top of your belly or chest or both. You can notice your breath rise and fall here. And then lift your arms up overhead, backs of the hands on the floor, elbows are bent. Inhale and exhale. You can choose where to push or place your hands, belly and chest, framing your hips, or lifting your arms up overhead. We'll take quite a few breaths here. Take a couple of full deep breaths, inhaling, expanding your belly as much as you can. Get acquainted with your full deep breathing. This is the same deep breath you can return to throughout your day. 2 more breaths here, inhaling and exhaling. Always feel free to go back to your natural breath. No control of the breath, chest rising and falling. Once you take one other deep breath, inhaling and exhale, scan your neck, down your spine to your hips. Soften just a little bit more. One more intentional breath in this butterfly pose. Breathing from your toes and heels up the length of your spine to the top of your head. And then start to shift into our last resting pose of the class. You can lengthen your legs, palms face up towards the ceiling. Either go back to your breath's natural cycle, that natural rise and fall without control of the breath, or if you are practicing that deep breathing, go ahead and do so, lengthening your inhale and exhale longer than you're accustomed to. This is the pose we hold the longest, meaning that we're integrating. We're releasing and letting go and receiving. Soften your forehead and jaw, back of the neck and shoulders. Draw your shoulders, relax them towards the ground. Soften throughout the length of the arms, wrists, palms, fingertips. Even if you're imagining those fingertips soften just a little bit more. And then soften the upper back, mid back, lower back around the hips. Down to behind the knees, ankles, and toes. Observing any thoughts and any sensations without judgment, just noticing. We'll start to shift our attention back to our breath, inviting a generous and leisurely inhale and exhale. You can restore some movement to your fingertips and your toes. And then we have the option of inviting a full body stretch, lifting your arms up overhead, perhaps interlacing your fingers, pointing your toes, and or turn your body to the left or to the right, allowing it to remain heavy and relaxed. Once again, returning to a generous and leisurely inhale and exhale. And then with another breath or two, start to make your way up to your seated position. You can stretch your legs out, come into a cross-legged, or sit on your ankles. Lengthen the spine, draw the shoulders down. And then we'll take a moment to be in appreciation of our breath, noticing that as we welcome our breath, we welcome our experience. And with that, we take our hands in front of our heart center. Intentional inhale here, and intentional exhale. And in the tradition of yoga, the highest in me sees the highest in you. Namaste.